Welcome to Pet Pals, the show that features the animals of Frederick County Animal Control and Pet Adoption Center. My name's Sean Snyder, and with me is Randy. And the first pet of the show is Oreo. Oreo is a 3-year-old Pit Bull Labrador Retriever mix. He's black and white in color, as you can see, and he was given up by his owner. Since Oreo came in, we've given him the routine vaccination all shelter dogs get when they come in, if they're not current. We've treated him with Frontline. We've also treated him with Revolution. And then also we've done any other care he needed for while he is staying here at the shelter. I had mentioned that he was given up by his owner. However, they neglected to fill out a profile, which is always helpful to shelter staff and then obviously owners. So a lot of what we have to gain from Oreo is what we see firsthand. He is a little bit of a shy dog. It says on his behavior assessment that he is somewhat guarded. So he's a dog that probably hasn't been exposed to the big wide world and is unsure of new situations. And for most dogs, the shelter is a new situation. So it takes a while for him to warm up to someone, but he is a dog that does, once you take him out, interact with him, he becomes less shy, but new situations may scare him. Because of this, we recommend that he goes to a home that has older children or an adult-only home. And that's because young kids sometimes don't know how to touch appropriately or maybe move real quick or make real loud noises that for a dog that is somewhat more shy, it may be a little overwhelming to him. The shelter recently started a new program with volunteers where we're trying to walk dogs together. In the past, we've always kept dogs separate just in case two dogs would get in a fight. And Oreo recently took part in this program, and he walked with a dog named Achilles, who's been featured on the show, and he did great walking with him. So that's a goal of the shelter, to keep dogs socialized with other dogs. And the volunteer who facilitated that walk wrote up a nice write-up about the walk and how the interaction was very positive for both Oreo and Achilles. So if you're interested in Oreo, he'll be here at the shelter. You can stop in and visit with him. Just ask at the front desk for Oreo. Our next little girl is Bella. Bella is a Labrador Retriever mix, and she's about 4.5 to 5 months old. And Bella is another dog that came to us as previously owned, but the owner neglected to fill out a profile. And during my research, what I found out was the person we're calling the owner actually found her on Facebook, picked her up, and then she only kept Bella for 1 day and then brought her to us. So the owner only has 1 day of history, and there's a whole lesson there that could be learned from getting animals off of Facebook or possibly putting your animals on Facebook, because the original owner of Bella may have done something different if they knew the person who picked her up was only going to keep her 1 day. So this dog, as far as we know, is looking for her third home, and she's only 4.5 to 5 months old. So what she needs next is a little consistency in her life. She needs a long-term home, a home forever, essentially. Being a puppy, she would definitely benefit from Puppy 101 classes, someone that can take her to a class or possibly do training themselves. She needs a family that can spend time with her. If you're someone who works 8 hours a day, commutes an hour each way, your kids are in sports, you're not going to have time for a young dog like this. Since she's been here, it looks like we provided her rabies vaccination, all the other vaccinations that the dogs get when they come in, just like Oreo received. And then we also gave her HeartGuard to help protect her against heartworm and then also other worms that young puppies can get. At 4 months, she's still at that good age where her socialization window is open. You can get her out to see the big world. You can make sure that when she experiences new things, like Oreo's experiencing now, the last dog we saw, that she won't be scared or she won't be hesitant. So this dog has a really bright future with the right owner. So we're hoping to pair her up with a family that was willing to invest the time. So once again, her name is Bella. She's here at the shelter. She's available for adoption. You can come in and ask to visit with her. Our next guest is Dixie. Dixie is an 8-month-old bloodhound, purebred bloodhound, and as you can see, she's reddish in color. Her actual date of birth is 1/14/15, so January 14th of 2015. Dixie is a tracking dog, so whoever decides to adopt her has to realize that she has a strong pull to track scents. That can be difficult to keep her home, and that is the reason why her previous owner decided to give her up. It looks like they kept her outside in a backyard kennel during the day, and she kept jumping the fence to the kennel and escaping from them. And they indicated she is not currently housebroken, so that is also something that she'll need. But at 8 months old, she's a dog that can still learn. Not that older dogs can't learn, but she's still young, she's still eager to please, she still wants to learn new things so she can become better rounded, and obviously she loves attention. So she's a dog that would probably do well from praise or treats, so you could easily train her. Dixie does have some eye problems. Part of it is the breed, not that the problem is the breed, but they have droopy eyes in general, but she does have cherry eye and potential entropia, which means the eyelids curl in and kind of poke her in the eyes. So whoever adopts her will need to get some consultation on what's the best course of action for her eyes. So it doesn't hinder her seeing, it just maybe causes her eyes to be a little bit more sensitive. Along with the bloodhound, they obviously have very long ears, so long ears can keep moisture in and kind of build up heat, which causes ear infection. So when she came in, she did have an ear infection in both ears, it looked like. So we actually treated that, and she is still being treated for that ear infection until the 25th of September. So she is already microchipped, so she has her microchip, and her new owner will have to re-register that, and she's already been spayed. Other things her previous owner said about her is that she knows some basic commands. She knows how to sit, stay, come, and paw. They said that she does get along with other dogs, and that they were unsure about cats because she hadn't been exposed to cats. And then it looks like that she has gotten around along with children, that she's been around as well. And as I said before, the main reason that they gave her up was because they were unable to keep her in the yard, and that she jumps the kennel fence. So this is Dixie. Like I said, she's a bloodhound. She's giving Randy high five right now, and she's available here at the shelter. Our next dog is Muffin. She's a Labrador Retriever Pit Bull mix, and she is 7 months old. Muffin was given up by her owner, and she is another dog that will need someone that can take the time to socialize her. She came from a farm and didn't have much interaction with people. It was somewhat limited. She's lived outside her whole life until she's come here to the shelter. So all the comments we get from our staff and volunteers is that she is very sweet, but she is shy with new people, so it just takes a little bit of time. And then the other thing, her and her siblings, she came in with 2 other dogs, possibly a third, and none of them have ever been walked on a leash. So when you walk them on a leash, it's very foreign to them. I commented as she came into our studio here that she almost like army crawls across the ground, that she's not very comfortable being on the leash, but she's very comfortable with people. One of the comments on her behavior assessment says that she would curl up in your lap if you let her, and she loves being pet and hugged. And then another comment is, will need lots of socialization, desensitization of new surroundings and noise. So all she needs is someone who will take that time and expose her to the big wide world. And also have a little patience with her, since living in a house will be somewhat of a new experience. The folks who gave Muffin up said that they just had too many animals to care for, so that's why they brought her in. Like I said, they gave up a total of 4 dogs and I believe a few cats as well. And she was actually born on the farm where she was at, so they didn't go out and seek her. She was born an unwanted litter, essentially, and it sounds like they kept some of the dogs. They may have gotten rid of some of the other offspring, but there were a few still left. It looks like she's been around kids that from age 4 through 12, And like I said, she shared the farm with other dogs, so she's good around other dogs. We don't have an exclusion on her that she should go to a home with older kids. Because of her friendliness, her alertness, her eagerness to please, we feel that she'd be fine with a younger kid as well. So, you know, obviously we always ask that parents monitor pets with younger children, because sometimes young children just don't have the motor skills that adults do, and they sometimes just don't know that touching a dog or a cat in a certain way may not be pleasurable for the cat or a dog. So we always encourage that interaction is somewhat supervised. So once again, this is Muffin. She's going to be someone's great dog, and we hope someone will come in soon and take her home. Our last dog guest is Gizmo. Gizmo is a 5-year-old Shih Tzu. He's black and white in color, and it looks like he has a birthday coming up. His birthday is 12/13/2009. He weighs in at 13.9 ounces, and of course, since he's an adult dog, he won't be doing much growing. I guess if he's fed too much, he can get a little heavier, but he shouldn't grow anymore. Gizmo was given up by his previous owner, and it's interesting, as I read over his profile and then I read over his behavior assessment, there's some disjointedness. So why he was given up was because it says he's become aggressive, tears furniture, and pees everywhere. So obviously, that's not too gleaming of a report for him. They also said that they could not house train him. And it's hard to imagine someone would keep a dog for 5 years and not house train him and then finally give him up for that. They did say that he lived with other dogs and younger kids. So what we saw in his behavior assessment was that he loves tummy rubs, he loves his squeaky toys, and he seems to really love Randy. So we haven't seen any of those negative behaviors. Now, the house training. People ask us that all the time. It is hard for the shelter to judge whether a dog is house trained or not. There are times when our staff leaves at 5:30 at night and they don't come back into the next morning until 6 a.m. That's why dogs have double runs, so they have plenty of space that if they have to go to the bathroom, they can go on the opposite side of their kennel. What we tell all adopters is that you should expect your new pet to maybe have an accident in your house, and you should maybe expect to have to house train him. He is not an unhouse trainable dog. It's just he needs someone that can give him a consistent schedule, give him proper praise, make sure that he is with them in the first few weeks so that they can see what he's doing. You know, usually dogs won't go to the bathroom right in front of you. They'll try and sneak off. So Gizmo being 5 years old, he does qualify for that first tier discount we offer to adopters of animals between 5 and 9. So his adoption fee is $72.50. And it looks like he has not been neutered yet, which that could be part of the problem with the peeing in the house, that he's marking territory. So $72.50, he will be neutered, he'll be microchipped, he has been given several vaccinations. It also includes a Bordetella vaccination and a wellness visit at your vet. Most vets in Frederick County participate in that program. So if you're interested in this little guy, stop in and see him. I should mention that we are encouraging an older children home or an adult home only, just because his previous owner had said that he was acting somewhat aggressive toward kids. But you should still stop in and see him, visit him, and maybe Gizmo's the right dog for you. That's it for the first part of the show. When I come back, or when we come back, we'll take a look at 5 cats that are available for adoption here at Frederick County Animal Control and Pet Adoption Center.
Unable to attend a county meeting? No problem. Watch live and archived broadcasts online. Just visit frederickcountymd.gov/FCG-TV and then click the live stream or video archives link.
Our first cat is Avon. Avon's about 4 months old. She's a domestic short hair, and she's brown tabby with white. It appears that she came in with 4 siblings, so she had 3 other brothers and sisters, and we gave her the name Avon. One of the great things about being a foster parent for us, you get to name your kittens. So a lot of times we'll have some real creative names that come in, and it's just a little uniqueness. As an adopter, you don't necessarily need to keep the name, but obviously it's fun for our foster parents. They usually take in a litter of kittens, they let them grow a little bit, and as they grow, they maybe come up with a theme or name kittens based on personality. So maybe she was named Avon because she's beautiful like the makeup. I don't know, I'm just speculating. So Avon, actually, it looks like she came from a family, and they kept her for about almost the full 16 weeks. So she came to us on August 31st, so they had her for about 16 weeks, and they decided that they couldn't keep them any longer, so they brought all the siblings here. Her and her brothers and sisters were part of an unplanned litter, so it looks like all the kittens were brought here, and it also looks like the mother had been rehomed too. While she was staying in the house, it looks like she lived with a 10-year-old lab. She lived with young children. It also looks like that she is litter box trained, and they were training her to use a scratching post. So they were working on that. They said that she will claw or scratch furniture, but that they almost had her trained not to do it. And part of what our adoption counselors do is give you ideas to curb your cat's scratching of things you don't want them to. Inherently, cats want to scratch. They want to strengthen their forearms for hunting. They want to sharpen their nails. So it's something that cats do, but at the same time, they don't necessarily want to destroy your precious stuff. So if you provide them proper things to scratch on, you trim their nails, that helps to somewhat limit the scratching. So Avon's here at the shelter. I'm not sure if her siblings have been adopted or not, but at this time we still have lots of kittens on our adoption floor. So if you're interested in an Avon or a kitten, stop in and visit our cat room. Our next cat is Tiger. She's approximately 2 years old, domestic short hair, and she's Torby in color. It looks like when she came in, we provided her some routine vaccinations. We treat all animals with flea and tick preventative, and then we test all cats for feline leukemia and feline AIDS, and she tested negative for both of those things. Tiger is another cat that was given up by her owner, and what her owner had told us was that they chose to give her up because they were moving into a senior home, senior apartments that did not allow cats. So what we encourage people to do is use our shelter as a last resort. We're here to help Frederick County residents who can no longer keep their pets, but at the same time, we want people to try and make every single last effort to maybe rehome their animals by themselves. We hear a lot of times that, oh, my dog or my cat is so friendly. And when you introduce a pet to a new environment, it can be extremely stressful for them. Tiger's doing very well here. She's adapted fine. We actually have her color-coded as green, which is a higher level, but she has done fine. When Randy got her out of her housing unit, she didn't fight him or try not to go with him. She's comfortable sitting on his lap. Her previous owner did indicate that she is more of a lap cat but can be independent. So she has come into the shelter and done very well. And obviously we're trying to find her a home. So it looks like Tiger has been exposed to 3 cats and a dog, so she's very well socialized with other pets. So she'd probably do well in a home with another cat or another dog. We still encourage people to obviously monitor that relationship in the beginning when you first adopt, but she is a cat that's had that experience, so would probably do better with that. I had mentioned earlier that we color-coded her green, and that's more of a cat that doesn't adapt to new situations or can be more shy or more scared. And often what we see at the shelter is when a cat first comes in, they're really stressed out. So that is when we're color coding them. And as they stay at the shelter, what they realize is, hey, I'm getting 2 meals a day. People come around and change my litter box. I have volunteers and staff people that are petting me. That this place isn't a bad place. So they tend to relax and become more natural of how they would maybe interact with a person in a home. So once again, her name is Tiger, and she's available in our cat adoption room. Our next kitten is BB. BB is about 4 months as well. She's a domestic shorthair, and she's black and white in color, as you can see. Since she's been with us, it looks like we provided her with a rabies vaccination. We started her on her distemper series, and what we try and do is get the whole series in kittens, but it's usually 3 shots and they have to be spread out in certain intervals. So sometimes people, when they adopt, they don't realize that they actually have to get 1 or 2 other shots at their vet. So, and that's all part of what we talk to people about. So we don't leave you in the dark, but we let you know that they'll need a few additional. So right now she has 1 and she'll likely need 2 more. We give all cats and kittens a general dewormer, so she's been given that. And then, like I said earlier, we do treat them for fleas and ticks, whether they have them or not. She was given up by her owner with a few of her siblings, and it looks like they had her since she was a newborn kitten. And then the reason they turned her in was because the people who owned her became homeless and they had nowhere to stay. So she's at the shelter now, safe. She's looking for a new home. At times people feel bad about separating sibling kittens from each other, but we understand that not everybody can take a whole litter or even take 2. Now, we like it when people take 2. We actually encourage that or incentivize that by knocking $20 off your adoption fee. But at the same time, it's something that a lot of kittens go through being separated from their siblings. So I think sometimes people hesitate to adopt kittens that are in cages with their siblings, and they look for more single ones so they don't have that bad feeling, but know that that's a common occurrence here at the shelter. It looks like obviously she's lived with other cats. She hasn't been exposed to dogs, but being young, it's something that she could easily adapt to. It might be a little frightening for her at first, especially a larger dog, but as long as you have a dog that does well with cats and doesn't try and harm or give extreme chase to the cat, it's something that she's young enough that she could become used to living with a dog. And then she has lived with younger children, so she's used to being picked up by, it looks like the youngest was a 3-year-old being handled by young kids. So she is very easy to handle. At the same time, she is a kitten, so you should expect that she may want to run around at 3 a.m. as opposed to sleep like you want to sleep at 3 a.m. She may want to climb things. She may decide to jump on you in the middle of the night. So that's normal kitten behavior, and we've actually had people return kittens because of that behavior. I think most people realize that comes along with youthful kittens or youthful cats. So that's something they accept, and they know that over time the cat will become more relaxed typically. They did indicate she is more of a lap cat, so she enjoys sitting on your lap, spending time with you, whereas some cats or kittens, they just want to jump down and go explore right away. So once again, her name is BB. She's here at the shelter. I think she's sharing her house with her brother named ZB, some pretty unique names. And she's here at the shelter waiting for adoption. Our next pretty girl is Holly. Holly's a 3-year-old domestic shorthair, and you can see she's black and white. And it looks like she's been with us here at the shelter since the end of May. So at this point, Holly does have the dubious distinction of being our 2nd longest cat resident. And you have not seen her on Pet Pals yet, which is typically what we try and do is feature animals we don't have videos for and those kinds of things so people can see them, potentially be interested and come in and adopt. Why Holly hasn't been on is she's extremely shy with new people and new situations. So obviously bringing her from her housing unit up to here is a whole new thing, which causes her some stress. And today, Randy and I talked before the show and said, you know what, we're going to give Holly a shot. And she's doing fairly well on Randy's lap. So what Holly needs from a potential new owner is someone who's just willing to be patient with her. The owner that gave her up got her from Craigslist, so they responded to an ad on Craigslist, and they only kept her for 1 week to 2 weeks, they said. They weren't even sure how long they had her, but it wasn't very long. And the reason they gave her up was, it said not compatible, hides a lot, too much for cat to handle. So it sounds like Holly was extremely stressed in that home. And they did indicate they didn't have any other pets, but they did have an infant and then children that were of toddler age, it would seem. So maybe young kids were trying to chase her. And young kids, you know, to their defense, they want to be affectionate with pets. And Holly may not have been ready for that. So Holly might do best in a quiet, slow-paced home. A home that has older kids, a home that maybe is adult only, but a home that's not necessarily going to try and chase her and force themselves upon her right away. Now over time, she can become that cat. Once she knows she's safe, she's in an environment where she's being fed, she's getting attention. Our kennel staff has commented how when they're cleaning her house, one of them's able to hold her and they seem to enjoy the attention. But our kennel staff are folks who are giving her food and cleaning her litter box and, you know, spending time with her, so she knows that they're safe people that are trying to interact with her. Holly, like I said, she's been with us since May 30th. What we're hoping for her is that someone comes in and just takes the time to spend a little time with her. She's probably a cat that you might have to visit more than one time, maybe 2 times, 3 times, until she really gets that comfortable feeling. So once again, her name is Holly. She's 3 years old, and she's been available for adoption since the end of May. Our last guest is Wayne. He's about 4 months old, and he's a domestic short hair, brown tabby with white. So he's available here for adoption at the shelter. And out of all the guests we've had today, he is the only stray out of the group. So he was found by a local citizen, if I remember correctly, on John Klein Road on near the beginning of the month, on September 5th. So obviously when stray animals come in, our hope is that someone comes in and reclaims them. We don't necessarily want to adopt your pet back out, but if no one comes and reclaims them, we do move to the adoption floor, things like that. We work with rescues. There's all kinds of pathways an animal can be put on. But at this point, Wayne is up for adoption at the shelter. Now, Wayne is a part of the last group of kittens you'll probably see coming into the shelter. And we'll still have a few here and there, but this is probably the last big push. As the days get shorter, the days get colder, we see less and less kittens being born. So over the winter, kittens aren't common occurrences here at the shelter. So there'll still be some, but if you've been considering adopting a kitten, now's your time to really start looking, because by the time Christmas time comes, there will be hardly any kittens left, or we'll still have some maybe that are 7 months, 6 months along that lines. So Wayne is looking for a new home. We hope the next home he finds will be his last home. He needs a family that can just spend time with him, show him attention, still love him when he becomes an adult cat. Unfortunately, we see people that they love the cute littleness of the kitten, but as soon as they start to become an adult, they're a year old, maybe they start to become a little more independent, they don't have the kitten look anymore. Unfortunately, they'll turn their cat now into us, and inevitably we'll try and rehome it. So Wayne's here at the shelter. He's looking for a new home. If you're in a market for a brown tabby with white with white, Wayne might be the kitten for you. Or if you're just in the market for a kitten or a cat in general, you should stop by the shelter and visit to see what we have. I want to remind everybody that we're having a rabies clinic in early October. The date is Sunday, October 11th. The clinic's from 11 to 2, and you can bring your cat, dog, or ferret here and have it rabies vaccinated. You'll also receive your county license, and we also do microchips for cats and dogs. They are $15 and we register it for you. Rabies vaccinations are required by law, and if there's one thing you can do to protect your pet is get it a rabies vaccination. The clinics are starting to wind down for the season, so if you need that vaccination, please consider coming to our clinic on Sunday, October 11th. That's this week's show. We hope to see you next week, where we'll feature 10 more animals that are available for adoption at Frederick County Animal Control and Pet Adoption Center.